करते हैं राइसीना डायलॉग से जुड़ी हुई। विदेश मंत्रालय की ओर से आयोजित राइसीना डायलॉग का आज तीसरा और अंतिम दिन है। आज विदेश मंत्री एस जयशंकर कॉमिसार्स एंड कैपिटलिस्ट पॉलिटिक्स, बिजनेस एंड द न्यू वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर विषय पर अपना संबोधन देंगे। साथ ही कई विदेशी नेता भी इस मुद्दे पर अपनी बात रखेंगे। इसके अलावा इस कार्यक्रम में आज कई और महत्वपूर्ण सत्र होने वाले हैं। ऑब्जर्वर रिसर्च फाउंडेशन के अध्यक्ष संजय जोशी के समापन भाषण के साथ राइसीना डायलॉग का समापन होगा। इस कार्यक्रम में 125 देशों के प्रतिनिधि भाग ले रहे हैं। विदेश मंत्री डॉ. एस जयशंकर ने ब्रिटेन की राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार जॉनथन पॉवेल से मुलाकात की और द्विपक्षीय क्षेत्रीय वैश्विक सुरक्षा मुद्दों पर चर्चा भी हुई है। इसके अलावा डॉ. जयशंकर ने नेपाल, थाईलैंड, लग्जमबर्ग, लातविया, मालदीव सहित विभिन्न देशों के समकक्षों के साथ द्विपक्षीय बैठक की। विदेश मंत्री ने अपने सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म एक्स पर अपनी बैठकों की तस्वीरें साझा की हैं। डॉ. जयशंकर ने बताया कि उन्होंने अपने नेपाली समकक्ष आरजू राणा देवबा से मुलाकात की। दोनों देशों के बीच द्विपक्षीय सहयोग के विभिन्न पहलुओं पर चर्चा हुई। इसके साथ ही उन्होंने अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परमाणु ऊर्जा एजेंसी के महानिदेशक राफेल मारियानो ग्रोसी से भी मुलाकात की है। केंद्रीय इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और आईटी मंत्री अश्विनी वैष्णव ने राइसीना डायलॉग के विनिंग द आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस मैराथन इंडिया इन द ग्लोबल एआई सत्र में भारत में एआई और सेमीकंडक्टर चिप निर्माण में हो रही प्रगति पर अपनी बात कही। उन्होंने कहा कि भारत में 2000 जीपीएस पहले ही शुरू किए जा चुके हैं। एआई कोष नामक एक साझा कंप्यूटिंग संरचना स्थापित की गई। इसके अलावा अपना जीपीयू चिपसेट विकसित करना भारत की प्राथमिकता है और इस पर जल्द ही अंतिम निर्णय लिया जाएगा।
14,000 GPUs already inaugurated. We have set up a common compute kind of structure called AI Kosh. That is also done. Third, getting our own.
आपको ले चलते हैं राइसीना डायलॉग, जहां पर इस वक्त विदेश मंत्री एस जयशंकर संबोधन दे रहे हैं।
I'm impressed to be seen as a commissar. It's a term from my youth, and I was quite amused to see it being used in this age, but I take it as a compliment. Now, your point, tariffs, sanctions, what's happening, export controls. I think whether we would like it or not, they are a reality. Countries use them. In fact, if one looks at the last decade, I would say we have seen a much greater weaponization of pretty much any kind of capability or any kind of economic activity. It could be financial flows, it could be energy supplies, it could be technology. This is the reality of the world. Since I take the world as it is, we have to negotiate our way through that and see, how best we can do for our own country. Because at the end of the day, for a government, for a commissar of the government, you fight for your business. You fight for your business because you're fighting for your employment. You're fighting for your comprehensive national power, of which business makes a very important contribution. I think today the lines, dividing different domains have eroded. I think overall, if you see in international relations, I think it's a less restrained culture today than it was, say, a decade ago. And that's something we all need to factor in.
Does it bother you, the blurring lines?
I'm not, I wouldn't say it would bother me because I've seen its evolution. I just accept it as part of the playing conditions. It's part of the assumptions, it's part of the challenge, I would deal with it, ideally even leverage it where I can.
Joel Kaplan, the internet was supposed to be borderless, a utopian free space where ideas and thoughts flowed freely. But now there are more and more firewalls being imposed by various regimes. Is that the future we should brace for a fragmented space divided by geopolitical lines?
Well, I don't think that that's a future that we should accept, and I think there are real opportunities, even as we speak, to make progress in ensuring that's not the case. And let me give an example of an area that we're quite focused on, as is the government of India. At the Paris AI Summit a month or so ago, Prime Minister Modi very vocally embraced the idea of open source AI, and that, for a company like ours, that was very gratifying, because Meta is going to spend in 2025 something on the order of $60 to $65 billion investing in AI to build foundational models, the most powerful, advanced, performative foundational models, which we will then make available for free to developers around the world to build on top of, to fine-tune, to modify, to customize, to apply their local language data sets. And a country that is really thriving in taking advantage of that opportunity is India. And the reason why I think that's important to your question is this is the way in which we can ensure that the shared values of like the great democracies in the world are what is embedded in the technology of the future. Because we know that it's not just American tech companies like Meta that are making these kind of investments and that have the ability to develop these sort of open source technologies in AI. We saw a month or so ago with the release of DeepSeek out of China that the Chinese are fierce competitors in this area, and they understand that this is one of the technological battlefields of the future. And it's really important that the decision be made as to whether there's going to be an open source standard, a global open source standard that emerges. If you think about past technological advances, you had an open source model in Linux and in Android. And I think we can all be grateful that Linux was a Finnish company and Android was out of an American company, and that the American values of openness, or the shared Western values and democratic values of openness and transparency are embedded in that technology. That's a choice that we get to make, and the regulatory environment that countries like India and the United States decide on will determine whether the future is built on these shared democratic values or on a different alternative that's emanating out of China. I'm really optimistic about what I see when I come to India, and it makes me think we can avoid the kind of future that you described.
I see how China has emerged as a villain, and TikTok is an example of that. The allegation is that TikTok shares data with the Chinese regime, as I'm sure a lot of other Chinese companies do. But here's my issue. American companies do the exact same thing. In the last 10 years, Meta, Apple, and Google handed over data from 3.1 million accounts to the US government. Meta's data sharing is up by 675% in this time, so basically, American companies get away with doing the very same thing by virtue of being American.
I mean, respectfully, that's just not remotely the same thing. Of course, companies like our companies reply to lawful orders to protect people from child sexual exploitation, from sex trafficking, from terrorism. I don't think that's inconsistent with democratic values. I don't think that's what we see in China, and honestly, I'd be surprised if that's a shared view.
Pier Roberto Folgiero, every company is a product of the country it operates in, and that sometimes also creates an uneven playing field. You mentioned shipbuilding. China is set to give around $15 billion every year in subsidies, and I'm not even counting the steel subsidies, which is a significant and important component. Now, Western governments and companies are investigating this unfair practice. Would you say they were caught napping at the wheel? It's been happening for many, many years.
But again, first of all, let me tell you that I'm very happy to participate to this panel because I'm the only hardware guy. Because now it's time for software, code, writing. But you know, in order to host software, you need hardware producer. So let me play the game of the heavy industry around the table. Let me say that in this new geopolitical landscape, we need to go for a kind of reindustrialization. That's what is expected to happen in Western countries. So shortening certain supply chain and go back to production. And we have to tell young people that production is a beautiful job. In the old times, if you're not good at school, you will go to the shipyard. Now we have to tell even our brilliant young people that production is back, and you need to go and cope with hardware, not only software. So that's the game I'm gonna play. So this is very important. Obviously, we need to modernize shipbuilding. So in order to be attractive and in order to reindustrialize Western countries, we need to offer a job that is as robotized as possible, as automated as possible. That's what we are doing in our shipyard. So yes, you need tariff in order to protect yourself, but at the same time, you need to reindustrialize yourself. And again, it comes from the culture of young people. It starts from there. Then it's a matter of rethinking industrial processes, injecting as much as new technologies as possible. Again, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of, robotization. Basically, we have to implement in the shipbuilding something similar to what happened in the automotive sectors 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Obviously, mutatis mutandis, because there are a lot of...
तो रायसीना डायलॉग का आज तीसरा और अंतिम दिन है जहां पर हमने एस जयशंकर विदेश मंत्री जो हैं उन्होंने कॉमर्साज एंड कैपिटलिस्ट पॉलिटिक्स बिजनेस